on part 3 of the interview series, and I have really been excited about this one because this is where interviews get won or lost. It's at the storytelling level. And most people are doing it wrong, and most people even know they're doing it wrong. They just don't know what to do. So if you've just found me, I'm Lori Lawrence, founder of Next Chapter Career Coaching, and I work alongside professionals over at the age of 45 who are in a job search. I help these job seekers land in their next job very fast. And we are currently in an interview series, and I've covered 2 days. A quick recap, part 1, we covered likability, how you show up in the first seconds of your interview really makes a difference. And in part 2, we went deep on fit and risk, how to sound like someone who already belongs in their world. Both of those are critical. Now we're talking about your power story. And I want to challenge something to you that you probably don't know is true about interviews. Please stop trying to tell everything. Here's a mistake. I see this constantly with clients trying to share as many accomplishments as possible. They figure the more examples I give, the more impressive I'm going to seem. They've got 5 stories ready to go. Heck, they've got 7. They want to cover all the bases. Tell their interviewer everything. But trust me, less is more. A lot less is so much more. And if this is how you've been interviewing, rambling and babbling, it's costing you offers. The hiring manager isn't trying to audit your career or your history, and honestly, they don't care. And to use a dating analogy, it's like being at dinner on a first date when your date wants to learn about you and see how you might fit into their life. But all they're hearing is about your last 3 boyfriends or why you divorced your husband or wife. Stop. That hiring manager, they're trying to answer one question. Can this person walk in and do the job I need done? That's it. That's the whole interview, compressed into that one question. And the most powerful answer to that question, well, it's one great story that shows them, yes, absolutely, yes, I can walk in and do the job. So what is a power story? So a power story is a single story from your experience that maps as closely as possible to what they need you to do in this role. Not a close approximation, not a distant cousin of the work, as close as possible to the exact work they need done. So when do you tell a story like that? The hiring manager stops evaluating and will begin to start imagining. They start picturing you in the role, and that mental shift from evaluation mode to vision mode is where you win. The framework I use for building this story is called CAR, C-A-R, Context, Action, Result. So let me walk you through it. This is the CAR framework. C is context. This is the setup. So when you're asked a question about a particular need, you set it up. What was happening in your organization? What was the challenge or opportunity? And set the stage briefly. I repeat, briefly. Give the hiring manager enough to understand the situation without drowning them in background. A is for action. This is the most important part. What did you do? Not what your team did, not what your company did. What was your specific contribution? What decisions did you make? What did you lead, build, fix, or drive? This is where your value really lives. And R, it's result. What happened because of your actions? Be specific. Specific numbers, specific outcomes, specific timelines. We grew revenue by 34% over 6 months. We reduced onboarding time from 12 weeks to 4. We landed 3 enterprise accounts in the first quarter that totaled over $2 million. This kind of specificity creates credibility, and 1 story is better than 5. Here's the thing about memory and attention. People can't hold 5 stories at once. They may remember fragments of each of them, and they might mix up the details from the different examples, but they will absolutely remember one powerful, well-told story that resonated. That one story isn't just demonstrating competence. It's doing 3 jobs at once. It's showing them you're likable because you're telling it with energy and confidence. It's showing them fit because you're connecting your experience directly to their world and needs. And it's showing them competence because the result speaks for itself. One great story does all 3. That's why it's called a power story. How do you choose your power story to tell in that next interview? Because every interview with each company may merit a different story. So before you interview, study the job description. What's the number one thing they need this person in role to do? What's the core problem they're trying to solve? What does success in this role look like? Then go into your experience and ask, when have I done that? Or the closest thing to that. Build your car story around that moment. Practice it until you can tell it naturally without sounding rehearsed. And please, please, please don't practice it only in your head. Practice saying it out loud. Open your voice memos on your phone and record it and then listen. Or better yet, open up a Zoom meeting, just you, and record and start talking so you can see for yourself how you look and sound to others. Guys, this is huge, and it may really surprise you. And here's one final thing. Your power story needs to end with an implicit message. The subtext of every great power story is, I can walk in on day 1 and do this work. You don't have to say that out loud. The story, if it's told right and with confidence and enthusiasm, they're going to feel it. I've had some clients, however, end with just that strong of a close. I can come in and I can do this job right now. Tomorrow, part 4 in this interview series is about questions, and I'm going to blow up the way you've been thinking about why you ask questions in an interview. Most people think questions are gathering information. They're not. They're for positioning yourself. And if you ask soft, lazy questions, you will in fact lose. And in fact, you may even kill the entire vibe of the interview. I'll show you exactly what I mean tomorrow. And again, if you're ready to go beyond this little surface mini series, and I invite you to get into real depth of interview preparation. I have a full recorded training workshop, Interview Prep and Readiness, that goes into all of this step by step. It comes with a bonus playbook, 28 pages long, lots of good work to do, and also one-on-one time with me to build your personal interview strategy. I help people land in their next role in less than 90 days. I've done it for 80 professionals. If you're ready to make that happen, click the link below. I'd love to work alongside you. See you tomorrow in part 4.